tomorrow.
Okay, good.
My 8 o'clock class.
Go ahead, that's fine.
Well, I could do my class tomorrow. So.
I'll just go to the library. I live in the library when I'm on.
Really? You like reading things?
Yeah.
I would sleep, but...
Well, sometimes.
Alright, go ahead.
Okay, so... I forgot where we left off. So we watched him go to decline to disgrace status. Then ayah 60, 61, Musa alayhi salam is asking for water for his people. And then Allah Ta'ala tells him to strike the staff, and they all have water. And another point is that they break up into 12 streams. Every tribe knew which way to go. And on the one hand, that may look like lack of unity. But it's lack of unity when you think you're better than everybody else, right? Otherwise, it's human nature. Birds of a feather flock together. And the example we gave was Hajj. That when you're praying, everybody's mixed in with everybody else. But when you go to sleep at night, you're sleeping with people of your own language. Okay. And then from there, we had the interfaith ayah, which we kind of reviewed at the beginning of the session. So I don't know if we need to review that. Bringing us to today's discussion.
I've gone over that.
Yeah.
You explained that enough. Okay. And so then today's discussion, if you're going to summarize it in a few sentences.
So we talked about a few things. One, ayah 63, which is a step towards getting taqwa. That hold tight to what we have given you and remember what is in there so that you may get taqwa. And then the next few ayahs are speaking about people who broke the Sabbath, as well as people who fell back on their commitment. Mm-hmm. And the lesson we had there is that every time I commit a sin, it's nothing but the grace and mercy of Allah that keeps me guided. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So it's like He is giving me a chance. Otherwise, when I'm committing a sin, I'm literally stepping off of the straight path. And the story of the monkeys is basically we talk about the letter of the law and the spirit of the law. The goal is to fulfill both, the letter and the spirit.
Do you think the reason why the Jews were given so many chances to not screw up? And,
Bunny Israel.
The Bunny Israel, I mean,
He's like, yeah, we know what we're talking about. Right?
So the Bunny Israel were giving so many chances is because of the injustices that were done to them by the Pharaoh?
Whoa. Could be. That makes sense. That's pretty deep, man. Yeah. Yeah, Mom's like, yeah, see. You were Sufi, you would have known that too. Yeah.
Because it doesn't make sense, right? I mean, what's so great about this group of people that they're so favored, you know? Mm. And it's not, I mean, I was kind of thinking, like, what is about their resolve that when they do something, they do it right? You know, yeah, I mean, you could make all those arguments with respect to the current Israel state. I mean, there's a small group of people, but they're just so powerful that they're people of resolve by they're hardwired to be people of resolve, you know? But in Allah's eyes, why was He so merciful to these people that they committed shirk, but He let them go, you know? Mm-hmm. And I thought maybe it's because, you know, with the Pharaoh, like all their sons were killed and they were just tortured by this tyrant leader.
It's very interesting. Yeah, I think that makes sense.
I actually have a question. They're not the first, like chronologically, I guess, they're not the first one to receive a book, right? Because the other ones are lost books, right? I don't know if those are after or before.
So Ibrahim alayhi salam, he receives a book, right? But it's hard to, I don't know who that book goes to, right? Because Ibrahim alayhi salam, the part that's not discussed in the Quran, that's discussed in outside sources, is that he basically traveled all over the world. Like it's said that he even made it to what is modern-day China, Central Asia, modern-day China, doing da'wah. But I don't know of an ummah that he actually has. He was like the ummah of his own. So at least in terms of what the Quran is mentioning, that might be the first one. Yeah.
I actually have a question. I don't know if it's kind of random, but in terms of like, you know how there's like 2 lost books, right?
You mean like the Da Vinci Code or?
No, like there's Judaism, Islam, like there's the Zabur, the Injil, the Torah, the Quran, and I don't remember. It's like Ibrahim, right? So those 2 books, like the Zabur and the Suhuf Ibrahim, aren't they like lost books? Right?
Well,
so doesn't that go against the nature of Quranic books because they should be everlasting?
Well, it's exactly like the question about the prophets being killed, right? You know, it doesn't make sense that Allah will allow prophets to be killed. it doesn't make sense in our logic that books should be lost. But we believe that the Torah has been changed, right? We believe that Injil has been lost and probably be changed before that, you know. So that's how Allah allowed it. The easiest way I can give you the analogy is to think of the fact that, okay, we would like to think that fruits, milk doesn't spoil, but He made it so that these things spoil.
But what is your, I mean, it's your personal reflection on why this was allowed to happen in the first place? Like, why were these books revealed when we knew that it was going to be changed? And why did we need Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam to be the final messenger? Why couldn't they, why did we have to go through this step,
So, the one theory that's given is that these books are also propelling humanity into, like, a next phase of social evolution. Right? You ever seen 2001? I don't want to make a lot of movie references today. So 2001 starts out with all these monkeys that are fighting over control of a pond of water. Okay, and then this black rectangle appears. Okay, and every time this black rectangle appears, there's like this sudden burst of knowledge. So this black rectangle appears and it goes away. And this one monkey suddenly has this realization. He's like just sitting there by the water, and his head comes up, like he has an idea in his head. And he takes the bones of these dead animals, and he starts beating the hell out of the other monkey tribe, and they take over the pond, right? Okay, it's not really a good example, but it's
2001 it's a fascinating movie. Yeah, if you haven't seen 2001, it's a fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, but it's very slow and quiet.
Yeah.
I tried to show my daughters, and they lasted like 8 seconds.
Very
Old-fashioned, right? But anyway, but the point is that one theory is that these books are also propelling humanity through, like, like a new phase of social evolution.
So it's like a preparation, right? Kind of.
Yeah, it's like just pushing them further, and then when its need is done,
it's lost.
They get lost. It's expired.
But that's purposeful, I think. I mean, it's definitely purposeful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And part of it is that, I mean, each book was sent to a specific people, and the fact that we don't have them anymore is
So this is actually another theory. Another theory is that the books were not meant to be universalized.
Yeah.
They were meant to be used only by that generation, right? To give them whatever. And then,
In the same line, questioning, idol worship, for example, right? I mean, if you had, so we've learned the lessons of when Ibrahim Islam and Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, when they basically got rid of all these idols. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knew that at some point these people are gonna go down that path where they're gonna create these idols to memorialize saints of their time, right? And so if the Prophet had just passed away and there were these people that were doing this, wouldn't they have to put an end to this? I mean, like, it took Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam to basically, and Ibrahim Alayhi Salam to basically wipe out all these idols, but that whole institution of idol making, why wasn't that just stopped like way before,
So it seems like it keeps coming back, right?
Yeah.
So Noah's generation is looked at as the first generation of idols, okay? And then they all get wiped out. They get destroyed.
Right.
Yet idol worship comes back in Ibrahim's time, right? And then, he makes a mockery of them. And then it comes back in Muhammad's time, peace be upon him. It just seems like something in human nature that you want to anthropomorphize Allah Ta'ala. And the ultimate way to do it is to make him, a statue in front of you. And look at that as a type of spiritual exploitation. Because the Quraysh weren't just idol worshippers. They're cashing in on it. Yeah. Right?
Oh, so they were selling, they were making a lot of money.
I mean, they're making money by being the key holders to the Kaaba.
Of course, right. Yeah,
right. Yeah. And I think for a lot of people, it's very hard to get out of it. Us, mashallah, we're raised in monotheism. We're raised in Tawheed. But if you're in idol worship, I think it's very hard to get out of it. Because even think about the use of the names of Allah Ta'ala, right? So we see them as attributes of Allah Ta'ala. That's correct. But even think of them as a way to ease somebody out of idol worship into Tawheed. So some people can go from worship of idols into La ilaha illallah, right? Muhammad Rasulullah. Some people, that's going to be hard. So you're taking them from whatever the name is of your idol that you worship for wealth, change the name to Al-Ghani. Okay. Whatever you're worshiping for something else, for justice, change the name to Al-Adl. Okay? And then from there, the next step is, okay, all these are the names of Allah. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you're easing people into to Tawheed.
I can see that. I feel like because they have an idol, they changed that to Al-Ghani. They would still have that picture.
Yeah.
You know, like they're always, we're very like, you know,
It's a
we
bridge,
need a
though.
picture,
Yeah.
we need something solid and concrete.
Mhm.
It's hard to remove that.
I think a lot of idol worship may have developed. I mean, like you said, grieving for lost
Yeah.
leaders,
I think, yeah.
respected leaders, and so for many people, polytheists, it was a connection to their past,
Yeah.
to learning, and there was an identity built into it.
But initially,
And that was a
it crept
break.
up in Islamic civilization, or at that time what would be considered Muslim civilization. It wasn't stopped right there, right? It was allowed to, right? So
Which
so
generation?
for example, like if you had a certain prophet that was or a certain deity that was being idolized, right? It was the original message of Islam was changed and people basically made idols, right? And so at that time when they started doing that, it was thought to be accepted by even the awliya of that time, right? That they didn't stop it right there.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? And so then it got changed, and then it became, the complete corrupted message that Ibrahim al-Islam found.
Yeah, I mean, it could be just that at that time in human history is too hard.
Isn't that how like Bid'ah kind of works? It's like creeps up on you kind of.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure maybe the idols
Like Sufism?
weren't made to actually be worshipped. They were the statues at first or whatever, or like pictures and then
Representation.
slowly, representation and then slowly.
It's like, have you guys seen Cloud Atlas? You're seeing it and
Yeah.
such, yeah. Because Cloud Atlas has a really neat narrative of that. You have this woman who's like first she discovers that she was a robot or something, or she's like genetically engineered, a clone, and then she becomes this activist, and then she becomes like this preacher to the masses, and then 100 years after she's died, she's been made into an idol, right? I think it's really, really deep, right? That's one thing. I have this friend who was Hindu, raised as Hindu, and he didn't buy into Hinduism. Or no, he just felt he had to find what was the true religion. So he literally read all the books of every religion. And we came across Islam, he's like, okay, no brainer, this is it, right?
Wow.
But he says in Hinduism, that's how the gods came. There were kings that were turned into idols. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think the whole issue, the whole practice of idol worship is fascinating, like as a taste of how human nature works.
Yeah.
I think for some people, if you're physically holding something, I think it's hard to get out of that. Because even, what do you think of when you think of Allah? I think it's more of a sense or a sentiment rather than an image.
Martin Langs talks about that in his book, about how the people started taking pieces of the Kaaba back to their, whatever tribe they were from far away, and that became
Interesting.
a representation of Allah that follow, and it took on out like this.
Oh wow, yeah. So, yeah, it is fascinating stuff. And your thoughts, questions about anything at all?
So the like realms of existence, So we have
I haven't traveled through them periodically.
It's the Islamic notion of it, right?
Yeah.
It's a different
So
one,
if I'm
right?
understanding it correctly, so you have these seven. They talk about the seven realms, right? That are the tangible world that we see, right? And so, like, when we look at cosmology and we look at all the different universes and so on that's out there, so what we see and what is available for us to see through cosmology, those are all the seven universes, the seven sort of spheres that are there, and beyond that is angelic, and beyond that is the Arsh of Allah, right?
That was the common cosmology throughout the Middle Ages, yeah. But I don't. But I think that's scholarly speculation.
So my understanding is that like the universe that Stephen Hawking is talking about, and the multiple universes that are out there, like that doesn't even approach the angelic realm,
I would say so. Correct. Yeah.
right?
Even I don't remember. I gotta ask the teacher who taught me this. I don't remember if it's a hadith or poetry. He said that someone asked, "Okay, how big is Allah?" So the metaphor was, think of a ring, right, in the middle of the desert. Okay, so the ring is the universe, and the desert is a small angel. Okay. Now think of that ring being a small angel. Think of that small angel being the ring. And then the desert becomes a major angel like Angel Jibreel.
Who's starting?
Lost me already too. I'm like, what?
Okay.
Pretty deep, yeah.
Wait.
So you got a wing